Let's go to our correspondent. Al Jazeera's Nadim Barber is live for us in Cairo. A call there also made by the coalition for people to head out in the streets, as the spokesperson said, from now to oppose the speech and the instructions by al-Sisi. What is the situation in the streets then?
Well, as of now, it's too early to start telling you about numbers of people on the streets. We know that the military have been put on a state of alert, and they're going to be deployed in greater numbers around the country, particularly in Greater Cairo. Basically, now that we've had both sides give their statement of intent, I think you could say they're fighting fire with fire. The statement by the head of the armed forces, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, was seen by everybody as very strong and very clear. Everybody on either side of the political divide, whether they support him or not. What he was asking for is for millions of people to demonstrate on Friday and show their support for what's happening in the country, the way that the country's political leadership is moving forward. On the other hand, we've just heard that outright rejection of everything he's called for by the Muslim Brotherhood spokesman, Gahad al-Haddad. And he says that what the military are actually doing is nothing less than a call for civil war. He's saying that they will be responsible for any bloodshed that happens. As you heard, he's calling on international organizations to denounce the military tactics. The Muslim Brotherhood are saying, look, we've been on the streets for weeks, you've been attacking us, and now you're telling us that although we've been holding peaceful protests, in fact, what's going to happen now is that any further bloodshed is your fault. We're going to bring out people onto the streets to stop you. That's the Muslim Brotherhood version of events. For the interim leadership and for the defense minister, what needs to happen now is for more people who do not support the reinstatement of Mohamed Morsi to show their strength of feeling, because they're the people, according to the defense minister, they're the people that the military are listening to. They're not after holding on to power for a great length of time. They're answering popular demand, and that's why they moved to push Mohamed Morsi out. They answered the call of people on the streets at the end of June, and they're hoping that there will be a similar turnout this Friday. But in a lot of people's minds is, how can further violence be avoided if you've got both sides able to mobilize large numbers of people in the same parts of cities across Egypt?
Now, Nadim, we heard there from Gahad al-Haddad talking about a sort of the ground being prepared, I think it was the words he used, for an era of war on terror operations. We've heard similar statements made by Tamarrud on their Facebook page today. It does beg the question, what sort of era is the country heading towards?
I think that things are very uncertain right now, and I think that everybody in Egypt will hope that there's some kind of political solution, but there doesn't seem to be an answer at the moment, because on Wednesday there were national reconciliation talks which the Muslim Brotherhood were invited to, in fact which every faction in Egypt were invited to by the interim presidency under Adli Mansour. But the Muslim Brotherhood said, we won't attend, we won't even entertain the idea of talking to you while you're acting in such a way towards our leadership and not even telling us where Mohamed Morsi is being held, and so on. At the same time, the Salafist party An-Nur boycotted those talks, and it really does mean that there's one side of the debate having an internal discussion right now. Although it's clear that some of the movements like Tamarrud have their differences with the military, and they're certainly not happy with the idea of the generals ruling Egypt for any length of time. They might be happy with the idea of, for example, fresh elections and constitutional amendments, which the Morsi supporters certainly don't want to hear about.